Listen, if you are sitting there in the middle class working a 9 to 5 and wondering why your bank account looks the same every single month despite your hard work, you need to wake up. You are not just falling behind, you are actively sabotaging your own future. I have spent decades in the belly of the beast. I've built empires, I've sat in the Shark Tank, and I have watched thousands of people make the exact same mistakes over and over again. They buy things they don't need, with money they don't have, to impress people they don't even like, and it costs them everything. Financial freedom isn't some mystical secret hidden in a vault. It's cold, hard math. But most people prefer stories and emotions over math, and that's why they die broke at 65. Today, I am going to be brutally honest with you. I'm going to break down the 3 specific things the middle class must stop buying immediately if they ever want to see $1 million in their account. This is the warning I give to everyone who wants to survive the real world. If you want sugar-coated advice, go somewhere else. If you want the truth, pay attention. Shutterstock. The first thing you must stop buying right now is the status liability. I'm talking about new cars, designer clothes, and luxury gadgets financed on credit. This drives me absolutely insane. You go out and buy a brand new car for $40,000. The second you drive that vehicle off the lot, it loses 20% of its value. You just lit $8,000 on fire because you wanted the smell of new leather. And to make it worse, you're paying 7% interest on a depreciating asset. That is financial suicide. You are essentially working 40 hours a week just to pay for a piece of metal that is worth less every single day. I don't buy wants until my assets pay for them. My rule is simple. If my investments aren't generating enough monthly cash flow to cover the payment of a luxury item, I don't buy it. I wait. The middle class buys liabilities thinking they are assets. The wealthy buy assets that pay for their liabilities. You need to decide which one you want to be. Stop being a slave to a car note and start being a master of your capital. If you can't buy it twice in cash, you can't afford it once. Shutterstock. The second thing that is draining your wealth is what I call the convenience trap. Most people think it's the big expenses that ruin them, but it's actually the small leaks that sink the ship. You think that $7 latte or that daily $15 lunch out isn't a big deal. You think those 5 different streaming subscriptions you don't even watch are just pockets of change. You are wrong. Let's do the math because the math never lies. If you spend $25 a day on convenience, coffee, takeout, apps, that's $750 a month. If you took that same money and put it into a diversified index fund or dividend-paying stocks returning 7% over 30 years, that is nearly $900,000. You are literally drinking $1 million. You are eating your retirement for lunch. I invest in the companies that sell you these things. I don't spend my money on the products themselves. I want to be the one receiving the dividend, not the one paying for the CEO's next private jet. Every dollar you spend on a convenience is a soldier you've sent off to war who is never coming back to bring you more spoils. Stop the bleeding. Audit your bank statement today and cut every single recurring expense that doesn't add real value to your life or your business. The third thing you must stop buying is the hope investment. This is a killer for the middle class. I see people all the time pouring their hard-earned savings into hot tips, meme coins, or tech stocks that have never turned a profit in their entire existence. They buy because they hope the price goes up. Hope is not a strategy. It's a tragedy. If a company doesn't have a balance sheet, if it doesn't have positive cash flow, and if it doesn't pay a dividend, why on earth do you own it? You are gambling, not investing. I have a very strict rule. If a stock doesn't pay me to own it, I don't want it in my portfolio. I want to see a check every 90 days. Why? Because that cash is real. It's not a projection. It's not a valuation based on hype. It's money in the bank. When you buy into hope, you are at the mercy of the market's emotions. When the market panics, your hope stock goes to zero. But when you own a utility company or a major healthcare provider that pays a 4% dividend, you get paid whether the market is up, down, or sideways. That is how you build an empire. You build it on the bedrock of cash flow, not the shifting sands of speculation. Now, let me tell you how I actually manage my money to ensure I never go back to being broke. It's called the 5% and 20% rule. This is my survival guide. I never, under any circumstances, put more than 5% of my total investment capital into one single company. I don't care if it's the next Amazon or the next Google. 5% is the limit. Why? Because I've seen giants fall. I've seen companies that looked invincible disappear overnight. By capping my risk at 5%, I ensure that even if one company goes to zero, I still have 95% of my wealth intact. Winners don't just make money, they keep it. Along with that, I never put more than 20% of my wealth into one sector. If you have all your money in tech or all your money in crypto, you aren't diversified. You're exposed. When that sector hits a wall, you hit a wall. I spread my capital across energy, healthcare, financials, and consumer goods. This isn't just about making money, it's about staying in the game long enough to let compounding do the heavy lifting. You have to remove emotion from this process. The market doesn't care about your feelings. It doesn't care if you're scared when the red candles start appearing on the screen. In fact, that is when I am the most excited. Volatility is my best friend because it allows me to buy high-quality, dividend-paying assets at a discount from people who are acting on emotion. Most people buy when they are happy and sell when they are scared. That is exactly backwards. You should be disciplined when others are greedy and aggressive when others are terrified. But you can only do that if you have a set of rules. Write them down. Stick them on your mirror. My rule is I invest in cash-flowing assets with strong fundamentals, and I reinvest every single penny of income they generate. I don't spend my dividends. I put them back to work. That is how you create a snowball effect that eventually becomes an unstoppable force. The middle class stays middle class because they focus on income from a job. The wealthy focus on income from assets. Your job is a temporary solution to a long-term problem. You cannot work forever. Eventually, you will want to stop, or your body will tell you to stop. If you haven't built a machine that breathes cash while you sleep, you will work until the day you die. That is the cold, hard truth. Stop buying the toys, stop drinking the lattes, and stop gambling on the next big thing. Start buying shares of companies that have been around for 50 years and have never missed a dividend payment. Start treating every dollar like it's a seed that could grow into a tree. If you eat the seed today, you'll never have the shade of the tree tomorrow. Think about the math of a 100% recovery. Most people don't realize that if you lose 50% of your money chasing a hot tip, you don't just need a 50% gain to get back to where you started. You need a 100% gain. Think about how hard it is to double your money. Why would you ever put yourself in a position where you have to do that just to break even? It's illogical. It's reckless. My first priority is always capital preservation. I aim for stability first and upside second. If the downside is protected, the upside takes care of itself. I look for businesses with high margins and sustainable competitive advantages, what I call moats. If a company doesn't have a moat, the competition will eventually eat its lunch, and then they'll eat yours too. I want you to audit your life today. Look at your credit card statement and find the status items you're paying for. Look at your convenience spending. Look at your hope investments. If you find them, cut tea,